Welcome back to Story Time with Amy and Odin. Okay, we just want to give you a few more chapters today before we go into our next meeting. Today has been the meeting day. We went to the library, we picked up a whole bunch of books to read. Maybe there'll be a book we can tell you about next time. Odin's gonna finish working on his drawing. So this is the drawing he's working on during this story, and we are on chapter 6, The Case of the Missing Feathers. So we'll just keep track of the time and see what happens. I hope you guys are well. I hope that video wasn't too goofy for you. It is really kind of weird recording yourself and then looking up and then seeing yourself, but I have to remember I'm talking to you, and it makes my heart warm to know that you are listening. So, previously on Sam the Man and the Chicken Plan, Sam had collected a few feathers in the box he bought from Annabelle, his sister, and spent 20 bucks on that box, and he put his feathers in there, then had the lid of the box open, and it was sitting on his window, and when he went to check on them, they were gone, and so he thinks somebody stole them. Case of the Missing Feathers, Chapter 6. Everyone rushed into Sam's room. "What happened, Sam?" asked his dad. "Are you okay?" asked his mom. "I'm fine," Sam said, "but my feathers are missing. A robber must have gotten them." Annabelle walked over to Sam's open window. Or else they flew away. "Feathers can't fly by themselves," Sam said. "They can if the wind helps them," Annabelle said. Sam thought about this. It made sense. The feathers had probably flown away on a nice breeze. Sam peered out the window into the dark backyard. He could see branches moving from side to side. He leaned his head against the window frame, feeling tired and sort of sad. He would never find his feathers tonight. "I'll get up first thing in the morning and look for them," he said. "Don't get your hopes up too high, Sam the Man," said his dad. "They may have flown out of town by then. It's pretty windy out there." His dad was right. The next morning, Sam couldn't find his feathers anywhere. "At least now you don't have to worry about your collection getting stolen," Annabelle said as they walked to the bus stop. Not a helpful comment, Sam thought. Sam had looked forward to carrying his box up the steps to the bus. He had looked forward to Miss Louise, the bus driver, making guess after guess about what was inside. He had looked forward to letting Gavin take a peek, but nobody else. Instead, when Sam got on the bus, he said, "Hi, Miss Louise," and Miss Louise said, "Hello, Sam the Man." And that was it. Gavin had saved him a seat. "Guess what I brought for show and tell?" he asked Sam. "Wookie, the sock monkey?" Sam guessed. "How did you know?" Gavin sounded disappointed that Sam had guessed correctly. "You always bring Wookie, the sock monkey for show and tell." Gavin nodded. "I like a routine." "I lost what I was going to bring," Sam said, "so I guess I don't have anything." He hoped Gavin would ask him what he'd lost, but Gavin didn't. Instead, Gavin said, "I have an eraser you could show. I drew purple and green stripes on it with markers. Want it?" Sam shook his head. "I'd rather not show anything, since I can't show this really special thing." "A striped eraser is pretty special," Gavin said. "Most people would agree with me about that." Sam gave up on waiting for Gavin to ask him about the special thing he lost. "It was my feather collection, including a feather from the blue bird of happiness and a lucky red feather," Sam said. "That was my special thing." "Wow!" Gavin's eyes got wide. "That sounds awesome. Where did you get the happiness feather?" "Our neighbor, Mrs. Kerner." "How did she get it?" Gavin asked. "I don't know," Sam said. "She didn't tell me. Do you think you could find another one?" Sam thought about it. Mrs. Kerner did say there was only one blue bird of happiness, but more than one feather. "That settles it," said Gavin. "Meet me on the playground at recess." "I always meet you on the playground at recess," Sam said. "Yeah, but today we're going to do something different. We're not going to play soccer with Will and Rashid." "No," Gavin said. "We're going to find you another feather from the blue bird of happiness. So you'll have something to show at show and tell." "Where?" Sam asked. "On the kickball field, of course," said Gavin. Of course, Sam thought. Why hadn't he thought of that? Field of Feathers, Chapter 7. Will and Rashid and Emily Early all wanted to help Sam and Gavin search the kickball field for feathers. So did Emily's best friend, Imogene, a bossy girl who talked about horses as much as Emily talked about birds. Let's gallop, Imogene yelled as they walked toward the kickball field. Let's pretend we're a herd of golden palominos. Imogene and Emily galloped ahead. Sam and Gavin and Will and Rashid all looked at one another and shook their heads. Why do girls like horses so much? Rashid asked. My sister is always begging my parents for a horse. She's got horse posters all over her room. But you know what? She's never ridden a horse in her whole life. She's never even touched one. The twins make us watch the Black Stallion practically every night, Will said, and I'm always stepping on their little horse guys. Of all Sam's friends, Will had the worst luck. His twin sisters, Maisie and Daisy, were in the 4th grade and famous for wearing matching outfits every single day. Also, Will's mom ran a ballet school. Really, Sam thought, things could not be worse for Will. Found one, Emily called from third base. It was right here in the dirt. The feather Emily found was a rusty brown. It was not a feather from the bluebird of happiness. Still, Sam took it from Emily and put it in the plastic bag Mr. Pell had given him for feather collecting. Thanks, he said. De nada, Emily said, and then she galloped over to center field. I bet I'll find tons of feathers here. After 15 minutes of searching, the group had found a total of 8 feathers. Emily found 2 more rusty brown feathers. Rashid found 2 black and white feathers. Gavin and Sam found one at the same time. A red feather that Emily thought probably came from a cardinal. If we were in South America, it might have come from a scarlet ibis, Emily said, holding out the red feather that looked like the one Judy had given Sam. But since we live in North America, it probably didn't. Walking back to the playground, Sam peered inside his bag of feathers. He guessed they looked nice, even if none of them was a feather from the bluebird of happiness. Maybe we'll find a blue feather tomorrow, Gavin said. I don't think we should give up. Maybe, Sam said. I guess I could show these feathers today for show and tell, if that's okay with everyone. He tried to sound excited about it, but Sam was starting to wonder if you could only be super excited about feathers for 24 hours, and after that, your excitement was all used up. I'm showing my new book about horses at Show and Tell, Imogene said. It's called A Foal is Born by Danielle H. Paul. She's the leading horse expert in our state. Sam turned to Emily. Maybe you should do a show and tell on all the feathers. You're probably the leading bird expert in our state. That's okay, Sam, Emily said. I brought in some pictures from my family's birding trip last weekend. You can tell about the feathers. After all, Sam, collecting the feathers was your idea, Gavin said. I thought it was your idea, Sam said. Gavin thought about this. Oh yeah, it was. Maybe I should talk about the feathers. You can't talk about the feathers, Imogene said. You have to talk about Wookie, the sock monkey. If you didn't, then everyone would feel weird. That's true, Gavin said. I'll talk about the feathers then, said Sam. Just remember, I'm not an expert. Everyone agreed that Sam didn't have to be an expert on feathers to talk about them for show and tell. Walking back into the school building, carrying his plastic bag with 8 feathers, Sam realized that practically everyone he knew was an expert on something. Gavin was an expert on Wookie the sock monkey, Emily was an expert on birds, and Imogene was an expert on horses. Will was probably the world's greatest expert on bad luck and annoying twin sisters. Sam wanted to be an expert on something too, but what? The Chicken Plan, Chapter 8. I would like to get a chicken, Sam told his parents that night at dinner. To eat? His mom asked. We don't have any chicken, honey, just spaghetti. No, not to eat, Sam said, to grow. I think you mean to raise, Annabelle said. You grow carrots, you raise chickens. I would like to get a chicken to raise so I can become a chicken expert, Sam said. Actually, I would like to get 3 chickens. Mrs. Kerner told me they don't like to live by themselves. Sam's mom looked at Sam's dad like she was waiting for him to say something. Sam's dad looked at Sam's mom like he was waiting for her to say something. I'll pay for it myself, Sam said. Where are you going to get the money? Annabelle asked. I could help you mow lawn, Sam said, or you could pay me to hold the rope when you get your goat. You're getting a goat? Sam's mom asked Annabelle. You are not getting a goat, Sam's dad said at the same time. Annabelle looked at Sam. Did you have to bring up the goat? Sorry, Sam. Sorry, Sam said. Why don't we talk about chickens instead? Good idea, said Annabelle. Where would you keep the chickens, Sam? Sam's mom asked. In a coop, Sam said. You have to put them in a coop every night and close it up tight so the foxes and raccoons don't eat them. Not to mention the snakes, Annabelle added. Snakes? Sam's mom asked. Her face got very pale. Snakes eat chickens? They eat their eggs, Annabelle said. We saw a movie about it in science class. No one said anything for a minute. Then Sam's dad said, Sam the man, I have a plan. Why didn't you ask Mrs. Kerner if you could add a chicken to her flock? What do you mean? Sam asked. You could get your own chicken, and it could live with Mrs. Kerner's chickens. Maybe you could do chores as a way to pay rent. That's a great idea, Sam's mom said. Sam thought about it. He thought it would be nicer if his chicken lived at his house so he could see it whenever he wanted. On the other hand, he could become an even bigger chicken expert if he was around a lot of chickens at once. Mrs. Kerner had 6 chickens. If Sam got 1 chicken, that would be 7 chickens. Hanging out with 7 chickens would make Sam a chicken expert in no time. There was only one problem he could think of. How will I know which eggs are mine? He asked. Get the kind of chicken that lays green eggs, Annabelle said. There's a chicken that lays green eggs?
Yes, there is, because the neighbors gave us a green egg.
Yeah. Pretty awesome, huh? Sam nodded. He imagined taking green eggs to school for show and tell. Maybe he could take his chicken to show and tell. He wondered if Miss Louise would let him bring his chicken on the school bus. He was pretty sure she would. Well, my friends, we're going to leave it there because we are having a little meeting again here in a few minutes. So this video is a little shorter than our previous video. And it looks like Odin's almost done with his drawing. I hope you were able to draw again with us. If not, there's always next time. We'll see where we are when we finish this book. We miss you. And look at me, dirty feet. Put your dirty feet down. Crazy. We don't bathe anymore since COVID. Just kidding. We play a lot.
No, we shower.
We shower, yeah. All right, here's your picture to share. Here's Odin's picture. He's finishing it up. We can't wait to see what you have. If you have a picture, you might have my email address. Somebody in your house might have it, or you can ask for it in Facebook, or if you have my number, you could text me. We really, 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 really hope you guys are well, and we hope that you're enjoying this video of us reading to you. We'll do some other kind of videos. We want to do an art video. We're just kind of showing you the tools that we like to use. I don't know if anybody got some of these. These are really nice tools. They're about $75 a box.
70.
So maybe we'll do a project with those, or watercolors, because I'm sure everybody got some watercolors. And if not, you let us know what you might need. We'll be doing another art order here in a while. Come say goodbye to our friend, silly kid.
Bye.
Say goodbye. And we'll see you really, 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 really soon, we hope, right? Keep creating artwork. We need you to keep making artwork so we can keep NCA alive during these times. And you can arrange with your staff to for us to come get them, or let us know when you're going to drop it off here. All right? Keep doing art. We love you. You're doing great. We miss you, and we'll see you soon.